My name is Daniel Hayes. I'm 39 years old, a software developer living just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been married to my wife, Lindsay, for nearly 12 years. Or at least I thought I was married, until the illusion shattered beneath the weight of suspicion, secrecy, and ultimately betrayal. We had what people would call an average life. Not extraordinary, but not unhappy either. 2 kids, a 3-bedroom colonial, and a white picket fence I built myself. We had date nights, family movie Fridays, and arguments about who left the laundry in the washer too long. Typical stuff. But something changed about 8 months ago. It started subtly. Lindsay began dressing a little nicer on Fridays. She started wearing perfume again, the same scent she used to wear back when we were dating. When I'd ask where she was going, she always had a vague answer. Running errands, she'd say. Just getting out of the house for a bit. At first, I didn't think much of it. We all need time to ourselves. But as the weeks passed, the routine never changed. Every Friday, like clockwork, she'd leave around 3 p.m. and return just before dinner. She'd never bring home groceries or shopping bags. Her story started sounding like rehearsed lines. Quick, shallow, convenient. I tried to shake off the feeling. I wanted to trust her. I chose to trust her. But a part of me knew something was off, and that part grew louder each week. So I did something I never thought I'd do. One Friday, I told her I had to work late, just to make sure she wouldn't suspect a thing. After she left, I waited 10 minutes, got in my car, and followed her. She didn't go to a store. She didn't go to a salon or to see her sister. She drove across town, made a few turns like she was trying to lose a tail, and eventually pulled into a rundown roadside motel just off the interstate, the Pineview Inn. One of those motels where the curtains never quite close, and the parking lot is always half empty, but never quiet. She parked. She sat in her car for a while. And then, at 3:28 p.m., a man walked out of room 12. Mid-40s, tall, heavy-set, bald, wore a red flannel shirt, and smoked like he was allergic to fresh air. He smiled, waved her over casually. Lindsay got out her car and walked straight to him. She didn't hesitate. She kissed him. I couldn't breathe. It was the kind of kiss you don't give just anyone. It was familiar, warm, practiced. She'd kissed me like that once, years ago. I didn't confront her that day. I couldn't. I drove away in silence, my hands trembling on the steering wheel. I didn't sleep that night, or the next one. I needed to be sure, though my heart already knew. So I followed her again the next Friday. Same motel, same room, same man. That's when I decided I needed proof. Something undeniable. I bought a cheap drone from a hardware store, fitted it with a small camera, and learned to fly it over the next few days. On the 3rd Friday, I followed her again, but this time I stayed back and sent the drone overhead. The footage was clear. She entered the room, stayed there for over an hour. When she came out, her hair was messy, lipstick smudged, and her blouse buttoned wrong. That night, I watched the footage 10 times. Each time, I hoped for a different outcome. But the truth was written in high definition, and it burned. Still, I didn't confront her. I wanted to know who he was. So the next week, after she left the motel, I stayed behind and approached the manager under the pretense of booking a room for a friend. Slipped him a 20 and asked if the guy in room 12 came often. Oh, yeah, he said. Every week. Same time. Sometimes with different women, but mostly with the same blonde. Yours? I didn't answer. My stomach turned. Now I was angry. That night, I searched through Lindsay's phone while she was in the shower. Locked, of course. But I'd seen her enter the passcode before our anniversary date. I was in. There were no saved messages from the guy. But I found him in her contacts as Aaron's tutor. Aaron was our daughter. My blood boiled. The texts were all deleted, except one thread buried deep in the archive. You make Fridays feel like freedom. Freedom, while I was raising our kids. While I was working late and believing in a life she was secretly tearing apart. Still, I needed to know the full truth. So the next Friday, I left work early and parked outside the motel. And this time, I confronted her. When she walked out of that room, laughing at something the man said, I stepped out of my car. Her eyes locked on mine. She froze. The color drained from her face. "Daniel," she said. The man looked confused. "Who's this?" "I'm her husband," I said coldly. Lindsay stammered. "Daniel, I can explain." "No need," I said, holding up my phone, playing back the drone footage. "I already know everything." The man raised his hands and backed away. "Look, man, I didn't know she was married." "Don't care." I cut him off. "This isn't about you." Lindsay reached out for me. "Please, Daniel, let's go somewhere and talk. I made a mistake." "No," I said. "You made a choice." Repeatedly. She cried, begged, swore it didn't mean anything, claimed she felt lost, disconnected, like she needed to feel wanted again, that it had only been going on for a few months, that she didn't plan to leave me. But betrayal doesn't happen in a single moment. It's built day by day, lie by lie. And Lindsay had laid down that foundation one Friday at a time. I left her standing there in the parking lot, mascara running, arms folded tight. It's been 6 months. The divorce is finalized. We share custody of the kids. I've moved into a new apartment downtown. It's small, but it feels like mine. Honest. Quiet. Sometimes on Fridays, I drive by the Pineview Inn. Just once. Just to remind myself of the price of silence, of the importance of trust, and of the moment I decided I deserved better. Because sometimes the shocking truth isn't just that someone betrayed you. It's realizing how long you betrayed yourself by pretending not to see it. The week after I left Lindsay in that parking lot, she tried everything, texts, voicemails, even showed up at my office crying. She wanted to talk. But what she meant was convince me to stay, to forget, to pretend none of it mattered. But I couldn't. I didn't tell anyone at first. Not even my closest friend, Jake. I was too ashamed. Not what she did, but that I had ignored the signs, that I had let love cloud my judgment, that I, a man who prided himself on being rational, loyal, observant, had missed the one truth that had been unraveling right in front of me. When I finally told Jake, he didn't say much. He just poured 2 glasses of bourbon, handed me one, and said, "You're stronger than you think, man. You just forgot who you were." He was right. I had forgotten. The therapy sessions. 3 weeks after filing for divorce, I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Melody Parker. I told her everything, from the first scent of perfume to the kiss outside the motel. I expected her to give me advice. Instead, she asked me questions. Why do you think you stayed so long once the signs appeared? What did her betrayal say about your self-worth in that relationship? What do you want your life to look like after this? They weren't easy questions, but they led me somewhere important. I realized I had built my entire identity around being her husband, our kids' father, their provider. Somewhere in that, I'd stopped being Daniel, so I started rebuilding. The hardest part, of course, was telling the kids. Aaron was 9 and Lucas was 7, too young to understand all the reasons, but old enough to feel the tension. I sat them down one Sunday morning while Lindsay and I were still negotiating custody. I didn't speak badly about her. I didn't want them to see her as a villain. I just told them sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, and that mom and dad would live in different houses, but still love them completely. Aaron cried. Lucas asked if it was his fault. That broke me more than anything. But I hugged them, promised it wasn't, and told them I'd always be there. And since then, I've made good on that promise. Every school event, every weekend, every birthday. I'm there, not as a perfect father, but a present one. The truth about him, later, through a mutual acquaintance. I learned more about the man from the motel. His name was Russell Gentry, a married man, father of 2, serial cheater. Lindsay wasn't his only affair, just one of many. When his wife found out, she kicked him out, too. Part of me felt a grim satisfaction in that. The other part? Just sadness. That people could be so careless with the hearts they once claimed to protect. As for Lindsay, she tried to rekindle what we had even months after the divorce was finalized. She emailed long letters filled with what-ifs and maybes and I miss yous. I didn't reply to a single one, because the man I was during those Fridays, The man who doubted, who hesitated, who waited for her to love him the way he deserved. He was gone. It's been a year now. I'm not going to pretend that everything's perfect. I still have nights where I lie awake and wonder how someone can fake a life for so long. But I also have mornings where I wake up, make pancakes with my kids, and feel peace instead of pain. I joined a gym, not because I needed to look better, but because I wanted to feel better. I started hiking again, something I used to love but hadn't done in years. There's something about standing on top of a ridge, miles from everything, that makes betrayal seem small. I even started dating recently. Slowly, carefully, with more self-respect this time. There's a woman named Camille, divorced, thoughtful, kind. She knows about Lindsay. I told her on our second date. She didn't flinch. She just said, "You're not the story she wrote. You're the one you write next." If you're reading this and you've been betrayed, let me say this clearly. You are not weak for loving. You are not blind for believing. And you are not broken beyond repair. The truth may burn, but it also clears the ground. And on that scorched earth, you can plant something real. Lindsay taught me a painful lesson. But pain, when faced, becomes clarity. And clarity, that becomes freedom.